Hey folks, welcome back. So today I want to give you with this video a small compressed overview over Bitwig Studio 6, what's new and what's changed, because not everyone wants to watch my 5-hour long stream from the release day, okay? So before we start, please don't focus on this guy, okay? He's living rent-free on my skin at the moment and he's going away pretty soon, I promise, okay? So let's go to Bitwig 6 here. This is how it looks like. A bit different, right? You can see different rounded edges here. This is kind of new. We have some new options here in the transport area. We also have a dark background now. You can't switch back to the bright or white or gray background we had in Bitwig 5. It's not possible at the moment, so you have to live with the black or darker background. We also have here on the right side some kind of action bar with new options. We have still here the arrow key, the pointer tool, we have the time selection tool, we have the pencil to draw in stuff that still works like this. But we also have here a spray paint tool which helps you to paint stuff faster. So you can just click and drag, right, or drag back, and you can kind of create things sometimes faster. It has different features or functions inside of different contexts. So here in the arranger, you can of course create clips. Then we have still here the knife tool to slice stuff. And I just saw here in a video from Moss that you can actually cut much better now, because you can see a line, and you can also click and hold and then pull this down, and you can choose where to cut here by going left and right. And if you are ready to cut, you just release the key. So thanks Moss, I didn't know that, even though I used the alpha. There's also here an eraser tool still, and the audition tool, which is new. So the audition tool is something you can use to play back fast individual clips or the complete arrangement from a certain point, you know, without quantization, and then it goes back to where it was before you clicked. This also works of course inside of the detail editors, or every editor. Basically you just can use the audition tool to just make a quick look at that. Yeah, then we have a new look. You can see the dark background here. We can change this, and there's also here down there a small little drop down menu which is completely new. And here you can switch to a dark grid, and they mean that the grid here in the background that you can see at the moment here, it's white. So you can switch to a dark grid. Then you can change the grid intensity to make it a bit brighter, a bit darker. You can switch to white grid and also can make this here darker or even more brighter if you want to have real contrast there in the background. Also you can change the background level, which is, yeah, makes it a bit gray. I think almost like it was before. If you liked it more brighter, then you can do this here. So you have a lot of options here to tweak it, but there are limitations, right? Then here's some options that you had before. I think these were some buttons down here in Bitwig 5. So yeah, there's also some options here. Global automation lock, which means basically if you want to lock or combine or link node clips to the new automation clips together. So you can move node clips around without having the automation clips attached. So you can use the global automation lock here at 0, or you can just click this button here. This is also new. Then you can see we have here a scale mode. We can choose from different scales. This is pretty new. And yeah, this is for the whole project, and you can use then inside of the project here different tools like node transpose or the appreciator or some modules inside of the grid, and they just use the informations from this selection here, right? And everything changes with it. There's also now here some kind of new thing that you have at the top. We can add here, let's say at the project level, we can add automation for the root key, for instance, or the scale, or time signature tempo. We had this before in Bitwig 5, but it was like down here with the master track. Now it's at the top, and here we can change, of course, settings inside here of the scale menu. So you can say I want to have B minor here, and then you want to switch to C major later in the track, and everything down here changes with it. Also the scale lock feature of the editor, of course, if you want to do this. Then you can see we have different rounded buttons here. They look a bit different. Also, this is a different round or different edge rounding here. Corner round, whatever you want to call it, this is different. We also have down here this small little overview, so you can see what's going on in the project. Even you are zoomed in, you can see where you are, so it's more like a nice overview, and it also works like a scroll bar, kind of. This is pretty neat. Then you can see here on the left side, all these tracks look a bit different. We don't have the slider anymore here. There's also no button for the automation lanes. Now there is basically a global automation button here, which kind of switches everything into a different mode. So every track is basically now showing you the automation, which is basically the last track or the last button, the last knob you touched on a synth, right? So here phase 4, if I just move this, you can see here it's changing, and then you can start to automate basically here right away. So this is a global automation mode now, and this small little track local automation lane is more or less gone. You can still add automations here by using this plus button. And then you basically see also here in this list the last or the recent touched parameters, right? So when we go here, there are already automations there, and the plus button there is gone. So there's a plus button only when there is no automation on the track itself. It's a plus button. If you start to add automations to this bus here, then it looks like more or less like this small little arrow here, where you can unfold the automation lanes that you already filled with automations. And if you need to add something, you need to go down here and use the plus button, or you go here and say, I think you can add automation lanes, and then you can see here already the last touch parameter, it's filter frequency for me. Or you can go down here into the synthesizer and can right click and say add automation lane. And this is a bit of a problem for me, but I make a separate video on that because I have some problems with the new way of how they change this here, because I don't really need a global automation mode, and I prefer actually having here a local automation lane unfold button. But I make a separate video on this and to talk about this when I, have my thoughts compressed and I can make a video about this. So these are basically the new automations. We also have now clips. So when you click on a node clip here, for instance this one, we can now see on the left side here there is this small little drop down with some kind of fingerprint icon or something like this. So we can click this and you can see it shows me here different numbers and some patterns on the right side, which means Bitwig says here there are actually different patterns, and there are different clips, but they are actually all the same. And you can go down here to merge duplicate patterns, and now you can see we have this paper clip here on this node clip, which kind of gives you an indication that we have now one original clip and all the others follow this original clip, which means I can just go into one clip here and change the clip, and then everything changes with it, right? So when I change here the node, you can see every other clip follows basically this first clip or this one clip. So they are linked together. You can do this even here inside of the node or the clip launcher. If you have here basically a clip, you just copy this over as an alias clip, and you can change then in here your original clip, and everything inside of the arrangement. Doesn't matter where it is in the arrangement, it doesn't need to be here close to each other. You can just spread it around in the whole project. It doesn't matter. When you change this original clip, everything changes with it. So this is very nice for making complex arrangements, but you still want to be able to change the sequence in a central place. I really like it. There's also an option down here under play, under the play button. You can see record to arranger as alias clips. This helps you basically when you have here clip launcher clips and you hit play and then you hit record here to record actually what you do in the launcher into the arranger. Then when this is enabled, all of these clips you write into the arranger are actually alias clips. Pretty dope and very cool if you want to create arrangements fast. And then later on you can just be in the launcher, in the clip launcher, and you can change the sequence here, and then everything changes in the arrangement. Yeah, very nice actually. I really like this change, much needed. Then we have here some status updates when you play basically a clip. Maybe move something here, you maybe mute this. You hit play, you can see now we have the status circle here, and it says how many iterations you loop this thing and when it's done and when it started and so on. So there are some updates also here. Then we have the automation itself. So when you go to the automation, you can see here we have some track automation and we have some clip automation. So this is clip here where you have this kind of background. And you can always make certain things to a clip. So this is here track automation. And let's say I really like this stuff, this automation I did here. So you can hold down Alt and click here, and then it makes everything to a clip. So this clip is actually the same or has the same behavior as a note clip or an audio clip. So this update basically brings the automation up to par to note clips and audio clips. Okay, so you can drag this into here, into the clip launcher. You can just play it from here and add automation to your instruments from the clip launcher. Or you can also use let's say yeah, alias clips. So let's say we make here another one. It's another clip. So we can go here to the left side and it says, oh, we have multiple clips here that do the same thing. So merge it, and you can see this one is merged with this one because it's actually having the same values or the same automation curve. Dope, right? So this is also the same. And I think when you change here the automation in here, everything changes with it, right? So we change this down. You can see here it's down, here it's down, here, right? So it's linked together. So also automations have now alias, the alias feature, and you can just spread this around. Also, a cool thing is about this about these automation clips here, that you can actually drag this into the yeah, modulator section of instruments in Bitwig. You can see it will create there a segments modulator. If you don't like a segments modulator, you just hold down Alt and it is a curve modulator, which is great. We also can open up here a different a curve for the curve modulator. So we could do this before, but now we can just drag this out into an automation lane. So we can interchange basically curves or BV curves from modulators and automations and just make one thing the other, just how we like it, right? So also very smart to have this. Bitwig also changed how automation is edited, kind of. So let's close here the clip launcher. So we can now do something much more smooth, right? You can see here how it's deleting certain points. This is cool. We have here kind of curvatures we can apply. There's also something that you can select multiple points and then you can just alt track, I think. No, it's not alt track, but you can see on the left side here there's a spread. So we can apply spread, which actually randomizes these modulation points here. So every time you run through this clip or this modulation clip or automation clip, the values are slightly different. So it's very nice for when you want to have a very specific automation curve, but you want to have it slightly different on every iteration. Very great to have this, and yeah, can't think or don't want to use anything else, basically. When you use the time selection tool here, you can also use then the shortcut 2 or 1 or 2, right? You can select something like this and then you hold down Alt and you can more or less make here a hard cut in this, right? So you can see it's much easier now than it was than before to make a 4-point automation. So this works basically everywhere. You just make a selection and then Alt drag up and down. Very nice to have this. This is like, this was missing for years and people were complaining about this. Finally, we have it in our automation things. Also, you need to check out that this automation has a different smoothing. It's much tighter now. So when you want to have very tight curves, you can do this. I don't want to demonstrate this here to make this video not too long, but you can draw in very sharp, short curves like this one, right? And then you can make the loop very short and loop it, and it will do it just like if you had a curve modulator on that. It's very tight and the smoothing is reduced. It's very precise. Check it out, try it out, bounce it to audio and see how the waveform looks like. In my opinion, they did some nice changes there, okay? Moving on to the detail editor. They also changed something there. We can now open up the detail editor. For you, it's probably Shift and Tab. So you click one note clip here or audio clip or automation clip, and then you hit Shift Tab. For me, it's just Tab. And you have this detail editor. And you can use here some different things on the left side, right? We have folding. This was already available. We have now here also automation editing, and you can see all the automations here we just selected. So you can do stuff like this. Also, we have here an, what's it called, waveform overlay. You can choose here different waveforms or different audio clips that we have in the project, just to overlay this here with the MIDI clip. There are also new buttons here with these kind of small little arrows, which means you have to click and hold. So click just disables and enables here the feature, and a long click basically gives you a drop down. And yeah, there you have that. Also here, this is the expression overlay feature. Before in Bitwig 5, this was only for pitch, for micro pitch or MPE pitch informations, right? So pitch bend up and down on multiple notes, also polyphonic. Now we can choose here between pitch transpose, which was possible before, but we can also do this now with pressure. Pressure was in Bitwig 5 only available down here, right? You have to choose basically the pressure here and the timbre and what's that, aftertouch, maybe gain, panning and chance. So now we have this basically on a per note overlay. So we can choose here pan, then choose a different pan for this note, even though it's maybe polyphonical, right? When you have like chords and you have multiple notes on top of each other, you can then choose different pan settings for different notes, even though they play at the same time. And it's very hard to do this here in this kind of view. So we have this now on top of the notes. Pretty nice change in my opinion. And then the last one here is this scalar mode, right? So if you activate this or enable this, you can see then here we have an overlay, or this overlay is actually always visible for me. I have to change this here on the right side. So we have here snap to key. We can disable this, and also note background, piano pattern, and adapt to key. So let's choose piano pattern. So now this is basically the normal piano roll view. So we have dark background here for black keys and white or brighter background for the white keys. But we can enable basically here the, what's the name, snap to key option. So you can see slightly blue lines here, and they indicate notes that are in the scale. In the scale you can change at the top here with this selector, okay? And then you can move notes around and they snap to these lines. So even if you just use the arrow keys, you can go up and up and up. You don't basically go up in semitones, you go up and down in scale notes, right? You can see here we just skip one note because it's not in the scale. So this is basically here the snap to key option, so you can enable or disable this. Then on the right side here, you can also enable or disable snap to key, which is also here usable via the K shortcut. But there's also here an option for note background, right? At the moment it's piano pattern. It's, yeah, that you have dark backgrounds for black keys and white background for white keys. But here you can choose to adapt to key. And now the pattern is different. So we have a blue background for all the notes that are in the scale and the dark background for all the notes that are not in the scale. Also here snap to key works. If you disable this, then you can also use notes out of the scale. But if you enable here snap to key, you can see it's now here this kind of pattern on the notes, and it indicates that it's not in the scale of the scale you choose here at the top. Another thing I forgot to mention is actually that you have now this detail editor much more easy for keep multiple things inside of the detail editor. So usually I just click one clip, for instance this one here, and you hit Shift Tab and you see the detail editor, just these nodes here. And then if you want to, you can just use the control key and select multiple. So this clip and maybe here also this WAV file, right? And then you hit Shift Tab and it looks like this. So with this you have more or less your multiple things selected. The crash, you can see here also these nodes in there. So yeah, multiple instruments at the same time. Phase 4 here, maybe let's say we have here the impact, or maybe it's the crash. Yeah, I can see the crash then in the background. We can also select here the first clip, phase 4, or this other clip, and then paint in nodes. So the multi-layer display is also a bit changed and it's more easy. You can also include, of course, automations here. If we add maybe here this automation thing, and then look at different patterns. Oh, let's open this up. Track view is possible. We can see the automation here. So everything is pretty clear, and you can overlay multiple clips at the same time if you want to. But yeah, this was kind of possible before in a certain way, but now it's more powerful. Let's put it this way. So the detail editor is actually something that you want to use, and we also have at the top these small little lines where you can change what you actually want to edit. If you want to edit basically the first clip or the second clip here, or you can unfold here and choose what kind of clip you want to edit. We can also switch to the track view. You can see what's going on in the whole project here. So you have full control over everything from the detail editor. And if you have basically a dual screen setup, you can have this on a second screen, and all you need is basically to just click once here and you can see the detail editor on the second screen, what's going on there, or click here, or maybe this, or select this and this, and then the second screen or the detail editor on the second screen just adapts and show you actually what you just selected here. Then we have inside of the clip, let's go here to clip again. Let's switch to clip view and a piano roll. So here we have, of course, let's say the spray tool, which lets you kind of create exactly like I showed you with the audio clips or the MIDI clips, note clips in the beginning. You can do this here with notes. So you can click and drag and make just a pattern in the size of the selected grid. So at the moment here it's 116 note, and it depends basically on the zoom. So we can just redo this here and say, let's say to zoom in, you can see we have additional grid lines. You choose then here the spray can tool again, and then you paint more or less in 132 note size. So you can use this to create, for instance, hi-hats or whatever you want to create. You can also with this tool can click, drag, and then you before you release, you go up and down. You can change the velocity just with one click and drag, more or less. And you can also do something like click and then hold down the Alt key. And then you can go up and down and basically paint patterns or musical sequences if you want to, and just go back and redo it and do it again. Everything just with just holding down the Alt key and holding down the mouse key, the left key, and just painting in. So this works pretty flawlessly. There's also like something, step recording is also new. Let's delete this here. So if this is available or enabled, these two shoes here, you can click anywhere into the clip, and then you have this bright white line, and then you can place something on your keyboard. You actually have to enable here the keyboard, I think. Was it actually working without? It's actually working without, so you don't need to use here the arm button to actually make this available. So all you have to do then is put it in some place, then hold down a key on your keyboard. When you hold it down, you can see I press here basically this button. Then when I release the key on the keyboard, it paints this node in the size of the current selected grid size here. You can also do something like hold it down, hold the key on the keyboard, and then you use Control and an arrow key. You can make this longer or shorter, right? And then you just release when you are happy, and then you can use Control and right key to insert some spaces, and then again press a key on the keyboard, or multiple keys if you want to make them longer, and you can edit or step edit with this sequence. And you can also see here the velocity is also used from your key presses on the keyboard. So a lot of features actually just in Bitwig 6. It's so much I need to talk for 26 minutes without a pause, just to tell you more or less everything. And there's even more, okay? So here I want to show you basically a project directory of Bitwig Studio 6. This is how it looked like before. We have here our main project file. There are also some bounces in here, and we have auto backups. So it does automatically back up your projects. And this was also available before. We have this for a long time, right? But now they changed something here in auto backups. We have here the project, and you can see we have now here a new folder called versions. So when you click on this, you have project files, and you can see we have 6.0 alpha 18 as a version for this project file, which means you can open up more or less old projects and save, and it will save the last current version of this project for this Bitwig version. So with this you can, or you have sometimes you have the problem that you overwrite with new versions of Bitwig old projects, and then when you go back to an old Bitwig version, you can't open the project anymore because you just overwrite with the new version, right? And it says basically, oh, this project is not valid and it was made with a different version and you can't open it. So here with auto backups and versions, we can open up older versions, or let's say project files that have that you have saved with a different version. So we have versions now, and Bitwig 6 does this automatically, which is in my opinion a nice idea, a nice touch. Okay, so that's it. I talked for 26 or 27 minutes. I showed you, or tried to show you, everything that's new in Bitwig 6. There is obviously a lot of more little features here and there I couldn't show, small little changes they made, but all in all I think this is probably the biggest update to Bitwig Studio in one single update. It feels so much that they changed in different things, and it probably changes how people use Bitwig in a daily life because of the scale mode. A lot of people wanted this, right? Automations is very dope now. It's very tight. I actually love it. I probably prefer it for some time now over modulators because it's so tight and it's very fluid to work with. Also alias clips, you have also a feature where you can load up old projects from older Bitwig versions, and you probably also copied clips all over the place, and there's a feature where you can say make all sequences, all clips that look like the same, make it an alias, and then you have yeah, you can use basically this alias feature on all projects pretty easy and pretty fast. Also, step editing was a big thing for people. I heard this a lot, that people wanted to have this. There are a lot of more features people want, of course, so I'm happy that I don't need to read, please implement the scale highlighting feature, right? This was the biggest one, I guess, that people commented under my videos. So I'm happy this is now finally a thing of the past, and I can't wait to look forward to new feature requests that coming in every day. So yeah, I like the update. There will be some more videos with specific things. I just want to make a quick update video so you are informed what's new. I'm happy about every feature. I probably don't use everything every day, every time. I think most of these features are for other people, not me personally, because let's say the scale feature, right? I know my minor scale, I know which notes I need to use, and for drum bass I usually use chromatic notes anyway, so I probably don't need the scale feature. But sometimes when I make some EDM or I don't know, melodic house or something like this, it could be nice to have. I also forgot to show you the modules, because there are a lot of devices that actually use the scale feature, the global scale, like the node transpose, the node echo, which is pretty cool. You can just, you know, echo up in nodes and it uses the scale. There's an arpeggiator that uses the scale mode. So you can just enable the mode and then you can offset nodes in the arpeggiator and it just follows the scale. Really nice. You can automate then the arpeggiator in different ways and it still is in the scale. And we have also new modules inside of the grid that use the global scale. So you can make generative patches and put it in your project and then change the scale and it sounds perfectly in tune. So there's probably more I just forgot. You can also use the automation clips and just move them into your library. So you can save these automation clips so you can make nice little automation clips you use all time, maybe a sine wave, maybe, you know, a saw wave going down or whatever, is fade in, fade out, and you can just recall it from the browser. Inside of the clip launcher you can also load now, I show you this quickly here, right? We have here basically a modulation or automation pane, and then you can, instead of record your automations, you can use this plus button and load in here a shape, which is then used as an automation, right? Pretty dope. So there's so much stuff. I really like the update. I think it's really worth to make an update or make an upgrade to this version. If you don't have the money, maybe wait for the Christmas or winter sale. There was just a summer sale, but there's probably also a winter sale. So maybe wait for that if you don't have the money. But if you have the money, in my opinion, they really did a great job with this update, even though I know some people don't like the update and they want something completely different, but that's always the case, right? We have always other features we want, and I'm pretty sure they will do it. In my opinion, this is also kind of a nice message to the community. We actually hear you and we implement stuff you actually want. Okay, so all in all, a nice package, and I think I wrap it up here with this video. There are more videos coming the next days with some specific features, specific tips. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. Of course, leave a like, leave a subscription, and tell me what you think. Okay, see you next time. Bye.